house that is haunted. Right from the start, dear, built on an acre of sand.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zada.
And I'm Kelly. And you're listening to Two Sides and the Truth.
We have a little special guest once again with us today. Some of our longtime listeners. What is it?
The clap.
Oh, yay. Okay. Some of our longtime listeners will remember her. Or if you follow my social media, she has been a little guest star on that on occasion. But my other best friend, Mary, my longtime best friend.
Hi, ladies.
Let's do the clap again. Oh.
Thank
I
you.
could pull an owl and push the wrong button.
I think that's a signature thing now.
Yeah.
it?
Amy labeled him and everything, and he still can't get it.
Bless his heart.
Bless his heart. So if you've listened to us before, we talk about Mary. She comes up. She's one of the OGs. She is the OG, really. We've been friends since 7th, 8th grade.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. It's been a minute. We've been through every stage of dressing stupid that exists. We've had big hair.
I don't even feel like our dressing was stupid.
Well, no, but I did have a penchant for plaid in about 7th grade, where maybe it was 8th grade. I saw a kid on a TV show where he was supposed to be in the 80s recently, and he was literally wearing my shirt that I used to wear all the time. And it's like 4 different colored plaids on the same shirt. Like one side is plaid, the other side is
color
plaid.
blocked.
Yes,
Is
right.
it the Ron Haywood shirt?
It's exactly a Ron Haywood shirt. Yes, mine was a little cooler than Ron's. And,
Ron had some cool ones, though.
Yeah, Ron was the cute high school boy that no one talked to. Well, we did eventually.
The punk, quiet guy.
And then I'd wear a plaid skirt with it, a different plaid. And then I would wear sometimes plaid tights, sometimes just black
You
tights.
just have to remember Benetton was popular and
Esprit.
Yeah. And so, like, those, nothing matched.
Even my shoestrings on my black patent shoes I'd wear with it were plaid. I might have gone overboard, y'all.
Maybe.
I tend to do that in things.
Yeah.
I really like that outfit, too. I wore it all the damn time, and everybody else liked it. I got lots of compliments
I think
on it.
maybe you should recreate it.
I could. Yeah, I could. The kid in the 80s show was like in it, and I was like, okay, nobody else dressed like that. I don't remember anyone else doing it. Okay, all right. Apparently they did. I probably stole it from someone. Anyway, so we brought Mary in here, and Mary has had a really interesting life. Most of my friends have had interesting lives, but Mary's is up there. She's had a background in the music industry, and she's gotten me into many a free concert, and I've been to many a concert. I don't even know how many concerts we've been to together. I don't
even know. I mean, I think that I've seen everybody I want to see.
Yeah.
Except for Sisters of Mercy, and I will be seeing them in May in Las Vegas.
I've never seen The Cure.
Ooh.
I've had tickets to The Cure 3 times.
Oh,
and
they're so good in concert.
I got grounded 2 times.
Did you see Susie and the Banshees is gonna she's starting to tour again?
I did not see that, but I'm not surprised because of the resurgence of Kate Bush and
Yes,
all that
Cramps.
stuff. The Cramps. Anyway, so Mary is she's got a lot of background in music and stuff, so she's going to tell us a little bit about how that worked out for her and some stories.
I feel like I've worked in the music industry most of my adult life. Up until COVID. And then it was, I guess in the music industry, we always were told the show must go on, and then it completely stopped. And then it was no shows and no this and no that. And so instead of going back to the music industry when it came back up, I just decided to choose mental health, and I'm bartending again. So
got out of it.
So
what are some of the best stories from it? What are some of the things that, like if you were on a podcast, and
Just
they
imagine.
told you to tell the best stories about some of these people. Tell them what you did when you worked at the Bomb Factory. What your job was.
A hospitality manager. I worked with Lenny Kravitz. I worked with Diana Ross, Robert Plant.
That's crazy.
Just a lot of people that I've idolized for years. They say don't meet your heroes, but
were there any of you met and you were like, I wish I'd never met them?
Not that I wish I never met them, but wow, they're mean, or wow, they're rude. And it's almost like, why? Why are you rude? But
That's so true. Why?
Yeah.
just why?
You're just a normal person.
Yeah.
You would hope that the thing that they're doing is bringing them happiness and they're enjoying their career.
I know. Isn't that weird how they
get
get everything they think they want and then they become such awful people? Not all of them, But enough of them. I mean, I've heard enough stories in my lifetime to know.
Well, I mean,
I've met a few.
I just see how much that they're pulled here and pulled there and pulled left and right. And, you know, it's like, you need to do this. You need to say this. You need to walk over here and greet these children. You need to, and it's just like, you're not your own person anymore. So I feel like where they can break, but it's like, whoa, we're supposed to be in the same family here. It's like, chill out.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be a safe zone.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
Who are some of your favorite people that you've met?
Oh gosh.
I remember Lenny Kravitz because I want to say it was Lisa. I don't think it was you. I think it was Lisa that called me and she was driving him somewhere. Was that you or Lisa?
No, that was Lisa. She was driving. She was his personal driver.
Because she called me while Lenny Kravitz was in the car with her and said, Lenny Kravitz is in the car with me. And I mean, you could hear him in the back. I was like, hey, what do you say?
What's up?
Hey, Mama 4 over here.
Right.
I'm also, yeah.
I was talking to his wardrobe about his mishap with his leather pants. I was like, was that you? And she goes, yes, it was me.
Well, I don't know the mishap. Did they split and everything
totally,
came out?
His leather pants split. You can Google it, I think, and it'll have the
picture,
but it's kind of blurred out.
Oh, so everything came out with
you
it.
were Googling. Yes, it was like surprise Hollywood. Here it is.
I was unaware of this. Interesting.
Very interesting.
I'm sorry.
I've met some really cool people. The Killers were cool to work with. I worked with Pixies.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
That was a really good one.
I bet. What about, we won't name her name because she's kind of a local person, but there is a local music. She's not local musician. She's known internationally, but she lives locally that has been in there. You know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about. And that was the most stressful, the most difficult working environment. And it was literally like 24 hours of nonstop hectic work.
And it's because she's local. She's from originally from Dallas.
And all her family's here.
All her friends.
And she's the sweetest thing ever. She never wants to say no, so it's impossible to.
So all of her friends and family think they're VIP and they all want to be in the back.
I get. I feel
And
you.
they all want free shit.
Where's my bottle of Hennessy? I'm like, who are you?
But yeah. Yeah,
And you are.
And then she performed there a few times, and it was
Right.
always the same story. And Mary would be like, "I have to, so and so was playing. You know how that goes." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." She doesn't enjoy
I'm like,
it.
come on, guys, let's go to the strip club. Let's get out of here. It's 5:30 in the morning. Come on,
Yeah,
guys.
come
Don't
on,
y'all
you're
wanna Go
done.
to an all-night strip club. Let's get out.
Let's go. Naked women's there.
Not
They have
here.
Tennessee, but you got to pay for it there.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Or maybe not.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. They may not. I bet when they go to the strip club, they probably don't have to pay for things.
No, a lot of stuff's given away.
Yeah. Isn't that ironic? I always thought that was funny that all these famous people that have all this money in the world are the ones that get all the free shit.
Right.
Now it makes sense
should
because
make
they
them pay for
promote it.
Yeah.
And then it, in a way, just by wearing it, it gets promoted. So
I
they
feel
just
like
by
that's
being
what this
there.
world is turning into now. It's like almost everybody is,
We're all billboards for something.
exactly.
Yeah, very true.
People,
Well, and the thing is, you got obviously the Kardashians are a really good example because they're, I don't know what those things are called. I'm sure you know. And I think it's their own clothing, Skims.
Oh, yes.
And they wear them as all day wear. Like it's like everybody's in workout wear all the time and everything. And they all have amazing bodies. So it looks really good on them and everything. But now everybody wears them, like all these 20-year-olds wear them as shirts with jeans or whatever. It's just however they dress.
Yeah.
Is how they dress. And I just find it funny because sometimes it's so far out there. And I'm like, I'm just old, I guess. I used to look at stuff people did. And I was like, oh, I want my face to look white.
Well, just like history
I know, right?
repeats itself, so does fashion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's coming back. The 80s is coming back.
Oh, yeah.
And the
I'm
90s.
pretty excited about it, honestly.
Yeah,
If I get back down to a 28, I got all that stuff.
Yeah, I still got it.
Still got it.
I can put a 28 on my left leg, maybe.
On a good day.
Yeah, it'll fit
Right.
around my thigh.
Why are you wearing your jeans on your arms?
These are vintage.
The new look. You made it into a little jacket.
Yeah.
I'm starting something fresh.
Put some pins on it. My favorite thing is now, she has the paper clips on there. The kids, coming back with the
clips or safety pins?
safety pins. Sorry, I don't know how to talk.
Anarchy in the UK.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, it's really weird to see everything come back. And I saved some things, but obviously I can't wear anything I wore in high. I did 5 years ago. I fit into my favorite skirt from high school. I don't know what. I just lost randomly a bunch of weight. Came back.
It found you again.
It found me right. It was like, bitch, you're not going anywhere.
It had separation anxiety from you.
It did. And I literally got into my favorite skirt.
I brought my friends.
I know.
I brought my friends.
Brought extra.
I'm a lot more popular now.
I was having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got into that skirt. But other than that, I've not been in high school clothes. But I saved my Doc Martens. And back then, to get Doc Martens, they became real popular, and you could buy them at the mall like maybe 3 or 4 years after we started wearing them, I guess.
I feel like Journeys was the only place that they would have them. And
no, they didn't have them at Journeys. This is how I got my first pair. Heather Jackson and I her mom was going to work, and she worked at AFIS in Duncanville. And so she drove us to Duncanville and then had us catch a bus. Now, I'm like 14.
I remember you did tell the story. Yeah.
And I had to catch a bus in Duncanville and then take the bus to downtown to Moda. And then they had a catalog. They had some, they had a wall of them.
I miss Moda.
But they had a catalog too, so in case what you wanted wasn't on the wall. So they had a catalog, and they brought out the catalog, and you can pick what you want, and then you ordered them, and you paid Moda, and then they ordered them from the UK, and then you waited about 6 weeks, and you had to get them.
Yeah.
So I ordered them from Moda. They were like $120 and they were 3-eye. They weren't like the real tall ones. Oxblood, that was the color. I really wanted oxblood.
I still have my Oxblood.
I still do. I gave them to Zoe, and when she was in high school. But so we went down there, ordered mine, and then we took the bus back, and then her mom took us home. And on the way there, we had to stop at the bus stop, the Greyhound bus stop in Dallas. And there was literally blood all over the bench that we sat on. We could have sat on. We didn't sit on it, but I was like, this is not a good spot for us. We're like 13-year-old girls from Red Oak, okay?
Oh my goodness.
And maybe 14.
My gosh.
I don't know what our parents are thinking.
No.
And,
it was a different world.
It was like 1989, literally. I was like a freshman. And so then to pick them up, we had to do it again. And we did, because I needed
I've been finding
those.
an older brher to drive me.
I had an older brother, and he was like, F you now. You met him. So, yeah, still have those. Still have my concert T-shirt. Still have my original Lollapalooza shirt. I know you have a bunch of yours.
I do.
Still have an original Depeche Mode and Edie Brickell. My first Edie Brickell shooting rubber bands at the Stars. That was my very first concert.
Is that shirt of yours see-through now?
It is. It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is translucent.
Yeah,
it's as old as Kelly.
I know. They made clothes good back then.
And seriously, that concert was like 1987 or 88. Like seriously, it's as old as you. It's a good one.
Is it on?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Okay.
Yeah. If
I'm over here tugging shit.
Sometimes, yeah, this stuff is really sensitive. Can you hear through your things?
I can hear through my thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really
I
sensitive.
talk with my arms.
I do too. I have to watch out when I'm at the Boys and Girls Club, because I'll be talking and a kid will be walking by me and he'll just get smacked in the head. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
I apologize.
You know you have to give me my fighting room. You got to watch out when you're walking around Miss Kelly.
Keep it. You need a 3-foot barrier. So what are your takeaways? Like, what do you think you're going to do now? You think you're ever going to go back to it, or you think you're done with it?
I don't know. I really like this mental health kick I'm on. I like, working 3-4 days a week and then being able to have my own free time.
Amen. I'm right there with you, sister.
It's for right now. I remember I would work for the future, and now it's like I want to work for today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because she's the best saver. Like once she decides she has a goal, like going to Europe was one she did. She focuses on a goal. She'll pick up extra shifts to put it towards that goal. She is having that goal.
I do now have a good goal for when I turn 50. It's either Switzerland or it's Scotland again. And whenever I go to Scotland, I'm going to kidnap Emma and Lisa, and then we're going to go to Paris for a day and maybe Amsterdam for a day, because it's all train rides.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's so super close.
to do it all. Yeah.
To do it all.
Like for them, that's probably not. But then we're from Texas.
And we're used to driving like 13 hours to go to Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
And then back.
I really need some beaver nuggets
I need them.
around here.
I need them.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So this is Mary, y'all. And Mary is one of my girlfriends that have never married, never had children. She is definitely living her life.
With 2 dogs, 2 adopted dogs.
She does have the 2 dogs. That is their babies.
Their birthday's coming up. February 22nd.
And they, what are the names again?
Lucy and Max.
I mean, I know, but I thought you might want to tell people.
Lucille, Lucifer,
Well, yeah.
and Max, Mr. Maxwell,
Yes, and he looks like
Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns. He really does. You saw?
Yeah.
He's got that perfectly round bald head, but it's hair, and he's got that crazy hair.
Yeah, he's adorable. So I brought Mary on the podcast before Al put Amy on the podcast. What we would do is rotate in my friends.
And I was the special one time and only guest.
He-
That's why I will not be cussing on this one.
She shocked the hell out of poor Al.
Yeah, didn't she tell the
I warned
feet
them.
licking story or something like that?
She did. No, was it?
Yeah,
Yes,
the pitos. You know, it's funny. Whenever we could, there is a chip now called Pitos. And I took a picture of it and I was going to send it to you, but I was like busy shopping. But I was like, Pitos.
Yeah.
Gross. Chip I will never be putting in my
The
mouth.
entire podcast, everything that had come out of her mouth, he would just like, like,
Oh my.
but you know what he'd do every week? They'd bring another friend,
Well, I mean, that's good content.
I was like, Al, I only have so many. I mean, I do have a lot of friends, but there's only so many you're going to want to listen to on the radio. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some we try not to put on here. Mary is.
That would be me.
I knew you'd be entertaining.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's a good thing on this one you don't have to censor yourself as
Yeah,
much.
you have
can
a lot
say
more-
whatever
yeah.
you want to say.
Yeah. Excellent.
yeah, we're not
drop
Rob.
Here's the truth.
Let me tell you something.
We've been
Let me
waiting for
tell you
that.
the tea here.
The next thing we're going to talk about, Kelly, last week's podcast, the Golden Girls episode, we discussed Kelly's love life.
Yeah,
And-
I've been trying to open up more about it and give just like real content from my life and the way that I deal with mental health things, because that is one of the things that is most important in my life right now too, because I know
Amen.
just how important it is. Like
Yes.
I want to be the best person I can be for other people, so I have to
No,
take
but
time
it
for
should
myself.
be for you first.
Yeah, that's
be
what I'm
the best
saying.
person I can be for me first.
Yeah.
And whatever trickles down to anyone else, that's their blessing.
Yep.
But, you can meet one person and they can set your whole day off wrong. Why? Just let that be a bad moment and move on. Don't carry that with you. Don't,
and then don't pass it on to other people because somebody gave it to you.
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
So that's my journey and it has been for a good time now. And one of the reasons that I like to bring up things on the podcast is because it checks with me. It makes me check myself, because I knew I was going to have a difficult conversation, and I shy away from those things so often because, first of all, I don't want things to go wrong, and second of all, like I play things up in my head too much that then I just can't do anything. It's too hard for me.
Yeah.
So I did have a conversation with Dante, and of course it went just how we thought it would go.
Yeah.
Not the bad, horrible way. He's a very awesome guy. He's very understanding, and he's the kind of person that will sit and listen to you. He's not going to interrupt you. He's going to let you say and get out what you need to get out, and then he's going to process that, and then he's going to come to the right conclusion. He doesn't like just jump off the bat or start.
Or say what it was, because not everybody listened to last episode. So just
we live together. Yeah, we live together right now, and I've moved in with him recently. It was like I've only been there for maybe like 2 years now, or not even 2 years, probably.
You say recently, I think like 6 weeks ago.
recently. That's recent.
Just
in my
recent.
life.
Yeah.
I really think I've only been living there about a year. We've been together 3 years. So
I think it's been a year and a half. I think it was in the summer, wasn't it? When'd your parent-
I don't know. Somewhere around July. So,
Yeah.
anyways, but now it's gotten to the point where not living by myself, not having my own space I can tell that it is affecting my mental health, and I'm not necessarily being able to be home and be me and do the things that I want to do. I haven't painted since I've been there. I haven't
Walked around naked.
I haven't written poetry since I've been there. I mean, some, but like I've noticed these things that are not coming out of me, and it's because I'm not able to get to where I need to be, and I can't relax enough. And so I had the conversation with him that I'm thinking about moving out, and I don't want it to affect our relationship. I don't want him to feel like I'm not wanting to be with him. I'm just having to do this for my own mental health. I need my own space, and I need to be able to just come and spend time with you,
right?
And come spend the night with you and see you.
Allow me to miss you.
Yeah.
And
I really do that anyways, because I am a very busy person, and I schedule myself and I stay with friends, and like, so
she's really only there like 3 to 4 nights a week anyway.
Really, but the
she
thing
stays with her
is,
friends a lot.
that's my fallback place though. That's where all my stuff is. That's my
home.
That's my reset zone. That's my and
Right.
it's,
So
it's
it
not
should
being
be.
able to be what it needs to be because there are, I can't live in the house with even like one other person. I do fine with one other person if in the household. Like I need a house parent.
Yeah, right.
But anything more than that is too stimulating for me. I can't even have animals because I can't have something barking or meowing. I can't even have clocks that tick.
Right.
I can't
understand.
have that, So,
I understand. I get overstimulated, not as easily, and my kids obviously have 2 autistic kids. We deal with overstimulation on a regular basis.
Right.
Yeah.
As you know.
But he
So I'm glad he
understood
took
and
it so well.
He said, I understand that that we can be a lot and coming in from it and you don't have kids and you don't have anything that, you ever have to worry about or deal with. Says he understands how that can be overstimulating and he can tell that, I feel like I have to like retreat and, be by myself. And I can't even really do that when there's other people in the household, know?
Right.
So yeah. So
I knew he would take it right.
I did too. I always know that it's all in my head, but
That's
I
something
think that's
that
natural.
Yeah, overthinking things is just. I've stopped doing that.
You know what? I'm bad about it, but I usually kind of keep myself in check. Like I'll overthink and then I'll think I just overthought.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But lately, I guess because I've been sick the last 2 weeks, so I've been in bed a lot. And so,
Welcome to my life.
Yeah, I know, right? It's nice. I like it there.
It's so nice.
Except the fact that I can't move and I'm sick to this. But, other than that, it's great.
Other than that, yes.
And I don't know how to turn the TV on, so I just look at my phone a lot. But, other than that. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, and I'm thinking, and I'm thinking, and I can't turn things off. And I'm thinking, and I'm thinking. And I'll start stressing out about, like, stupid stuff. Or overthinking something that I don't even need to be thinking about, like old shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like my mom, the last few months, it's been a lot of death anniversaries and birthdays of some of them that died. You know what I mean? So it's just been like hit, and holidays. So hit, holiday. Awesome. And I'm sick in bed. And so you start thinking about just stupid shit. Just, you just go down a hole. And I don't normally do that. I am normally so busy that by the time I lay down for the night, I'm going to bed. Like I don't ever sit down and watch, how I am.
Right.
I don't sit and watch TV. I don't sit and hang out, And I watched 3 movies this weekend, y'all.
Wow.
That's 3 more than I've watched in the last 6 years. I don't watch movies.
It's good to reset, though. I feel like at our age, it's really good to reset.
Yeah, I agree. But I caught myself going down paths I didn't need to go down mentally, and I just kind of had to put myself in check. But I do it every night. That's when it gets the worst because I sleep all day sick.
Yeah. And then
then
you can't really go to sleep at night.
And then I have a hard time going to sleep. But then Rick is ready to go to sleep. So I have to kind of shut down and be quiet, and I'll lay next to him. And, I'll play on my phone. And that's not a big deal. But you can only play on your phone so many hours a day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So then my head starts going there. And I got to reel it in. It's really frustrating. So kind of
Have you thought about keeping a journal?
I do have a journal. And I asked Rick for my birthday to get me a new computer, so that I can continue to work on my book. Because I'm working on a book about my relationship with my mom. And I have a bunch of stuff written down, but I need to get it together. And then I need to get someone to help me with it because I don't know how to glue it all together.
Don't ask me to help you.
I need a ghostwriter. You know what I mean? Like I talk and they write and they put it together. So I need someone smarter than me is the moral of this. I got the stories. They need the brains. Not that I'm not smart, but I'm creative. Creative people think differently,
Totally.
And so one of the roads that I've gone down recently, and this kind of wasn't even because I was laying in bed thinking. I had been thinking about it recently because of some memories of my brother and my mom. But back in, and anyone that's listened to me very long on either podcast has heard these stories, but I lived an interesting life prior to my mom moving to Ellis County where I live now. We lived on some communes. We lived in Austin in hippie central 70s, like when Austin was Austin, what made Austin weird, And that's where I was born. And then we left there and we lived for a bit in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in a little commune. And I don't know the circumstances of why we moved there. I was very young. I remember it though. And then we moved to Natchez, Mississippi. So the other day, a customer, in my head, it was a commune. Turns out it was a little different than a commune. I just recently got answers. So I've always had these questions about why were we in Natchez, Mississippi? I knew kind of why we were in Baton Rouge, but how come we went there? Like I knew the people we would have gone with, but I didn't know why we went. I didn't know why we went to Natchez. I didn't know what we were doing there. We have no family there or anything. And so a customer comes in the other day to my work, and I'm talking to him, and I'm in construction, and he's talking about his job site. And his job site, he says, is in Natchez, Louisiana. And I'm like, there's a Natchez, Louisiana?
And there one in Texas as well?
I think there is one in Texas. I know there's Nacogdoches, but I think there's a Natchez too. But I know it's not Texas. I knew it wasn't in Texas. And I thought, well, shoot, what if all this time I thought we were in Natchez, Mississippi, but we were actually in Natchez, Louisiana, which makes a little more sense because I do have reasons to go to Louisiana because of connections through the hippie world we were in. And so I was like, And I'm like, has everything I have thought for the last 40-something years been wrong? And I put it in my brother's obituary. We lived in Natchez, Mississippi. But I don't have anyone to ask. It was just me, my brother, and I, and my mom and I that I remember.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who to ask, honestly. And I'd asked my dad about it once before, and he had been like, oh, well, I remember having to pick you up from there once. That's it. So all he knew. And he goes, I think. So I was like, okay, it was a hazy time for my parents. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I start really questioning it. And so I put on Facebook, because that's where all the hippie community I grew up with is on my Facebook. And I was like, hey, I'm a little mind blown here. I'm curious, does anyone know why I would be in Natchez, Mississippi or Natchez, Louisiana? Or do they know which one I was in? And why was I there? What were we doing? Does anyone know anything? And I tagged a few people from that community. And my god sister immediately called her stepdad, and her stepdad said, he comes on to the Facebook and comments, and he says, he's like 70 something now, and he's a hippie, frog. That's what we call him. And okay,
I love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go down the names of some of these hippie kids in a minute. Y'all are gonna laugh, and of the people I grew up with. And anyway, so Frog says, y'all were in Natchez, Mississippi. Y'all went there because Ed was remodeling a plantation home for somebody. Not remodeling it, but fixing, like keeping it in good condition.
Yeah.
And he was making repairs, keeping it correct to the period or whatever. And so y'all moved there so Ed could work on a plantation home. And we had lived in a plantation home in Baton Rouge, I knew. And we had lived in a plantation home in Mississippi. So I assumed the Natchez was a commune because it was very similar to what we did in Baton Rouge. And we went from one to the other. I don't know which one was first, but we went from one to the other. So I guess in my head, I assumed they were both communes,
Right.
And Zola and I had talked about it quite a bit the last few years, and trying to put it together. Like I've been talking about this book. So I had Zola like sit down with me, and we talked about the 70s and what we remember, because we were both pretty young, and like very young. And so he says, so we kind of put together a little bit, and Zola, he said Natchez, Mississippi too. So I assumed it's Natchez, Mississippi. And so he says, well, so I was like, okay, well, this makes sense. Ed was my mom's boyfriend. And then after they broke up, Ed was basically like my godfather, and he stayed in my life till he died when I was in junior high. He would come to our home here and hang out with my stepdad. Like, he was a good guy, big hippie. And so Ed, it makes sense my mom would have followed him there and been with him there. They were engaged, I think, too, but they never got married. And so I was like, well, okay, this makes sense. And he goes, yeah, the house was owned by George Hamilton, the actor. I had no idea. So for those of you that don't know who George Hamilton is, you might know his son, Ashley Hamilton. He's been in all kinds of he's dated a lot of famous people's kids. And has he been in movies? What does he do? Why is he famous? I don't even know. He's real good looking.
He's super good looking. The only reason I remember him is he was married to Shannon Doherty for
That's right. He was.
2 weeks or something like that?
Well, okay. So not Ashley Hamilton, his dad, George Hamilton, was one of the original guys on the A-Team, the TV show, the A-Team.
Okay.
No.
And yes, he was. He was Face. Was he not?
No, he wasn't on the
Okay,
A-Team.
well, what all he's on? He was in a ton of movies.
I remember him being
He had a
on
bad tan.
a really bad tan.
He also played Zorro the Gay Blade. Do you remember that movie? It's the funniest. If you like Blazing Saddles, check it out. And Zola and I used to watch Zorro the Gay Blade all the time. It used to be on Saturdays on TV. There's no way they'd put it on TV now, but it was really funny. And a little PR not correct, but really funny. And so we knew who he was. You know what I mean? It was a pretty big deal in the 80s. He was a pretty big star in the 80s. And so it was his house when we lived in it. I had no clue. I guarantee you Zoll never knew this either. And he was a pretty big star when we lived in it. And so I was like, well, and so he goes, and then he gave me the name of the house. So I was like, it's called the Cedar Plantation, I think. And so, and so I was like, So then I Google, after he tells me this, I Google it and I'm like, okay, Natchez, Mississippi, George Hamilton, Cedar Plantation. And it pulls up an archived newspaper article from Natchez, Mississippi about how George Hamilton is remodeling or had remodeled or whatever, updated this plantation home, and it was now for sale for $1.8 million. And that was in 1981. We were probably in the house about 78, I'm guessing. And then, I don't know why we came home. I don't know where we went. But it was like I have had questions my entire life about why we were there, who we were there with. I had very clear memories of being there. It was a happy time. I had happy memories of this place. Aww. And it makes sense because I adored Ed, and so did Zoll. And he was just a great guy. And we were happy. We were real happy, and it was beautiful. And it was in the middle. Now I know why. We were in a multi-million-dollar plantation on like 200 acres.
You better be happy.
Right off the Mississippi River, and it makes sense now. Well, then I'm like, okay. So then I go a little further into it, and then my godbrother River sends me a River sends me a
River and Frog.
Yeah, and sends me a link to a YouTube video where it was on like some History Channel thing on YouTube, and they do a tour of the house.
Wow.
And so they start with like a drone coming, they'll do real estate now, and it's a drone coming down the driveway, and you know how those plantation homes were with the trees on both sides and beautiful. And so this is all happening while I'm at work the other day. And so my coworker sitting next to me, he is very used to my crazy stories, and he calls them Zada-isms. Mm-hmm. He was like, if you don't have a connection to everybody on earth, I don't even know. And so I'm telling him the story.
7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yes. And so I'm telling the story as it's happening. Like he's real life living it with me as I'm getting this information, And so I'm like, oh my God, here's a video. Let's watch it, So I get the video out and I have no idea what is about to happen. And I said, if this is the house I think it is, because I confused the two houses and I loved them both. The one in Baton Rouge and the one in Natchez were very similar. They're both plantation homes.
Yeah.
But I was so young, I wasn't sure of what inside belonged to what outside.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So I'm like, I really want to see this house. And I really kind of feel like it was made of rock for some reason. And it shows the drone. Marty's watching it with me. I said, there's also, if it's the one I'm thinking it is, there's a little rock bridge right in front of it. And it's got like a concrete, somebody went in years later and concreted like a little tunnel thing for the water to flow better. And I remembered that because another kid there with us, which is why I thought it was a commune. And it may have been, we may have had multiple families. I didn't get that much information. I'm pretty sure there were other people there. And a kid had wrecked his little 4-wheeler there. He didn't get hurt, but he, had wrecked it. So we all kind of ran from the house to check on him. And we were standing by the little bridge. And I can remember very vividly where I was standing, where my mom was standing, what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so as we're watching it, I tell Marty, I'm like, well, if this is the house I think it is, there's going to be this little bridge. And I explained it. And then sure enough, the drone flies over the bridge and it looks exactly like my memory. And I mean, I haven't seen the place since 1978, y'all. And I was probably 3, okay? Maybe 3.5, maybe 4, but I don't know. But how crazy I can remember so much of it. And then I'm like, and then I see the house and it looks wood. So I'm like, oh, that's a wooden house. Okay, well then it's the other one that's rock is what I'm thinking. And my memory of the rock isn't from a far away thing. It's from touching it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you what, this comes full circle. So I'm like, oh, okay. So then I'm like, I tell Marty, I was like, the room we slept in, and I don't know if it was a bedroom or like a parlor because it looked like a parlor, but homes back then that kind of happened. And it had a fireplace in it and it had this beautiful door. And I can remember thinking we had the nicest room in the house. Like this was the coolest room in this house. And I was like, and it was the first door on the left. And so then they do it of the inside, and there's the room, and it looks exactly like my memory. And y'all know how shitty my memory is. So this is impressive, okay? Aww. And I was like, holy shit,
Core
it's
memory.
The bedroom, and it's, you know what I mean? So I keep watching it. It's like a 45-minute video, okay? And they're talking about everything, the woodwork, everything. And then it was cool to know that Ed preserved all that because it was in pretty bad shape when he got a hold of it. And it had the original door handles. I mean, like stuff that's amazing that's still in good condition. And so one of the things they talked about the house was it was, built during plantation era, and it was originally a farmhouse, not a plantation home. And they had, see all this stuff I learned? And so when it was a farmhouse, they started doing cotton, and then cotton became this huge commodity, and then they got a bunch of slaves, and they became plantation owners, and that's when it went from a farm to a plantation.
Gotcha.
And then when they did that, they added onto the house to make it look more of grandeur. They wanted it to meet their wealth. So it was 30 years after they did the original house, they came back and added on and did stuff. And they added pillars, and they came inside, and the original wood floors inside the house, the marble was really big in Europe at the time, and they wanted to meet like this grandeur. So that's why they would put columns up, and they were trying to look like it was like Greece or something. You couldn't get marble floors in Natchez, Mississippi, I'm guessing, real easily. It's back then. So they would take the original wood, and they would do this faux finish on it. And this is like, 200 plus years ago, and do this faux finish on it to make it look like marble. And it's really wood. It looks really cool. And it's still there. Like, that's what the floors look like. The original floor is still looking like that. Well, then she goes outside and shows they did the same thing on the wood outside. So it's a wood house with a fake like marble look. And it's something they can't even recreate. They don't know how they used to do it. And it's still like that. It still looks good. And that's why I thought it was made of rock. So it like answered so many questions. Like, I felt like I just was like, wow. Because, like I said, I sit there and think about my brother and my mom, and I try to put things together. And they're just, we were a trio for my first 6 years. There was no one else. It was just the three of us, against the world. And so for all of it to come full circle, and now they're not here, I was like, damn it, Zoe.
Aww.
Dumbass died before this mystery was solved. I mean, I would love.
At least you figured it out.
I figured it out. It was really cool. My
Figured it out for the two of you.
Yes, and my hippie family is so awesome. They really bring a lot of memories back, particularly River, because River was, he's technically in my god brother, but I call him that because he was part of that group, and he was my brother's age. And River was an only child, and he lived with his mom in the same community we did, and it was a really hectic community. There was a lot of shit going on we shouldn't have seen. I wouldn't recommend raising your children that way. There were a lot of things that were good, though. Like, I didn't have anything bad happen to me. None of the bad stuff like that. It's just I witnessed things maybe. And it just wasn't the environment necessarily to raise kids completely. And so
I think you turned out fine. So
yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you, River was River was in the same boat as me, because we lived that, and then we were removed from it, and we both went into like a country life. So I went back to San Saba, and then eventually here to Waxahachie. And River moved to Arkansas with his grandparents a few years after we left. And so he got the best of both worlds as well. So when we come together and talk, we realize how weird things are in both worlds.
Yeah.
Like we see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My other god siblings, Molly, my godmother, I just have to tell you these names just because it's funny. Here I am, Zada, so who am I to judge? But my god sister that helped me figure all this out is Bliss. And I've always loved that name. It's such a beautiful name. And Bliss, and then her sister is Jolene. Her brother is Otis. My other god siblings are Sita.
Like Mama Sita?
Yes, Sieta, I believe how she spells her name. And I'm trying to think of the good ones. Sita, and Seth is her brother, which now you hear Seth. Back then you never heard Seth. And then they all had funny names like Piro. And that was Seth. We didn't call Seth. We called him Piro. I think it was like a middle name. I don't know. They were all of like Cajun French descent. That's how we had the Louisiana connection. One guy's name was Box, and I think it was his real name.
Boxin?
Box.
Box.
Like literally Box.
I like it.
I think it had an extra X, but that's all I can tell you. He was Cajun. And it was just very colorful people and a colorful life, and you know what I mean. And so it was really cool to kind of get that little walk down memory lane, and to see the house was the coolest part. And it is now a bed and breakfast, and I could literally go sleep in my old bedroom, and I'm going to, because you know me, I'm going to.
Oh yeah,
Bucket list.
Yes, and I told Rick when I first found it out, I'm telling him the story. He goes, "I'm guessing we are gonna have to go stay in a bed and breakfast." I was like, "No,
right.
I'm not
So
saying
smart.
you don't have to, but I'm
Like, you
gonna."
were so smart.
But Zoe was like, "No, it's me. I'm going." And I've heard this story my whole life, because I've talked about this house and this life and these things my entire life. And then I was like, "Do my family know any of this happened? Do they think I'm full of shit?"
Maybe.
I don't know what my mom told people. I have no idea if anyone in my family know any of this. Maybe. I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
We'll see if they listen. They'll bring it up. They'll be like, that didn't happen. Anyways, that was my little thing. I kind of teased it on Facebook the other day because I was pretty mind blown when the entire thing happened. So I just want to kind of share that because I thought
neat.
it was
That is
pretty
kinda cool.
It was pretty crazy. It was pretty cool. It was a nice little memory, and it kind of gave me a little closure.
Yeah.
Like I had questions, and now that I know Ed was there, I totally get being happy.
Okay.
Like he made me happy. He was a cool guy. Man, I would make that guy watch me dance 4 hours. I remember this very
I
well.
used to make people do that too. Watch
Yeah.
me dance.
Yeah.
Or I would make up songs too, and they had to listen to my songs.
Yeah, there was going to be a full show.
Yeah.
I have pictures
Yeah.
of me
And
dancing
then
for like 10
fashion shows,
hippies.
lots of fashion shows.
All kinds of, and you can imagine what they look like there. It was funny because, I talked to River a few years ago, and we were talking about Ed, and he loved Ed too. And I think his mom dated Ed as well. There was a lot of that.
One of
going on.
those, huh?
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on. And
It's a loving community.
yeah, it was. And when I was talking about Ed, I had one picture of Ed, and it was when he was dying of cancer. I had a picture of him from then, and that was 87 probably. And suddenly River comes up with all these pictures of Ed, and I'm in some of the pictures with Ed.
Aww.
I know, and I was like, hell yeah,
You
thank
just got
you.
a whole treasure trove.
They're
not
definitely a
that-
blessing.
Then it was so difficult to share pictures. It was so
Oh yeah,
hard. It's
we didn't have any. We were so poor, and my mom moved so much. We have very, very few pictures of Zola and I as children. So, and I have very few pictures of me with my mom. I'm talking, I could count on 2 hands. Isn't that weird? I have
is
so few
weird.
pictures of my mom and I together, but that's how it worked out. So when you get something
I think
like
that's
that,
why you're so take
Picture.
pictures. Yes,
I
take
am.
pictures.
That's exactly why I do it. I want my kids, and I have to put myself in them. No matter what weight I am, no matter how I feel like I look, my kids are going to think I'm pretty at my worst or my best.
They're just going to want to see you.
Yeah, they're going to want to
or
I
they'll
want to
just
see.
delete the picture.
Or they'll be like, that bitch. She's the reason I'm in therapy.
Photoshop.
So that was my little Natchez story.
Loved it.
I had kind of touched base last week when we were talking about something. I made notes. I told Kelly I made notes listening to last week's podcast because I literally forget what we talk about.
Yeah.
I'm
That doesn't surprise any
yeah.
of us.
Meanwhile, I'm talking about how I remember the bedroom. I know. Stupid.
But I can remember this bedroom from when I was 3 years old.
1978.
I can't remember what I did yesterday.
Yeah. So we were talking last week, and I was like talking about my mom, and I was like, yeah, the time she left me in the desert, this happened. And I just thought we have it on our list. So here's the little story. So my mom, we went to visit my brother in West Texas, and I was 18-ish, definitely 18. So my brother was like 20, and he's going to college out in Cisco, Texas. So that's where we went to see him. And he is living with a bunch of cowboys there. And it's just all cowboys. It's like a house of cowboys. That was awesome. Until
It sounds wonderful.
my brother made them all leave for that night. Every one of them. He would not allow them in the house if I was staying the night.
Smart
Yeah,
brother.
I know. And so we came and we stayed the night, my mom, my brother, and I was living in Houston with my ex-husband. And so I flew from Houston to Austin. My mom picked me up in Austin, and then she drove me to San Saba, and we spent a few days. And then she drove me to see my brother, and then she was supposed to drive me back the next day, and then we were going to stay the night, and then she was going to drive me back to Austin to get on the plane to go to Houston. And I had missed them. I hadn't seen anybody in a long time, and I was 18, and I was going through withdrawal. So my mom had a very contentious relationship at this point in life, which is why I didn't live with her. And so we go out to see my brother, have a great time. On the way back, and my little sister's with us too. And on the way back, I did not like how she was speaking to my little sister. She was being very mean. And I got onto her, and I was like, don't talk to her like blah, blah, blah. I think she might have even spanked my sister. I don't know. I was pissed though. So and we were middle of nowhere, West Texas, okay? And my mom's like, you can get out. Pulls over the side of the highway, kicks me out. Seriously, middle of nowhere. We're not on like a busy highway, but we're on a highway in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, fine, I'll get out, because I'm
Mom
18.
left me and Tony at David's. Remember when we had to walk home? I was like,
Oh my God.
Well, yeah, this is literally, though, I know no one. This is before cell phones. There's nowhere to walk, really. But I noticed we passed a gas station like a mile back. So I was like, I'm going to walk back to that gas station and figure something out. So I started heading back to this gas station. I get to the gas station. I walk in. And we were probably about 30 minutes from my brother's at this point. And I'm like, hey, my mom just like kicked me out of the car and I need to call my brother and can I use your phone and blah, blah, blah. So he can come pick me up. The guy's like, yeah, does he live around here? And I'm like, yeah. And they go, well, what's his name? And I said, well, he's just here for college, but his name is Zol. And they're like, oh, no, I know Zol here. And they call Zol and they're like, hey, I'm going to take your sister home to you. They drove me back to my brother's. So I leave. I'm gone. Well, my mom turned back around to look for me and I wasn't there. But then
You tossed me out. I'll find my own way.
Yeah, but
back.
then
Don't
she-
worry about me.
she didn't like keep looking though. She went home like 2 hours away.
Oh my God.
And so I'm pissed. Like I don't think I talked to my mom for a year after this. I was fuming.
Wow.
So my brother comes and picks me up and he was like, what the hell happened? So I told him, he's like, yeah, that's how she is. So he had to drive me all the way to Austin the next day so that I could catch my flight. But we had a hell of a time that night because I got to stay for one more night. And he like took me out to dinner and we got to hang out. And it was really funny because we were out in Cisco. Well, that's where my dad's family's from. And I don't talk a lot about them, but they're a really cool family as well. Not as interesting as my mom's, but they have a lot of cool Texas history as well. And I had not spent any time there. Everyone's dead that was from there or they've moved on. So, but that is where we're from. That's where our family farm was. And my brother actually, for a portion of the time he was in college, lived in the barn on it'd been our family 200 years. No one lived there anymore. It's just cows. And he'd lived in the barn, like through the winter. You know how it all was.
Yeah.
And barn. I'm talking a barn. Like there was no heat. There was no, it was 100-year-old barn. I don't know how he didn't freeze to death. He would take a bath in the pond once a week. Like, bless his heart. Anyways, we had a great time. And that was just another Sherry Vaughn story for y'all. A little life lesson. It was fun. I look back and I'm like, I don't even know why I liked her. No.
Why do I miss her?
I'm just kidding. I know why I miss her. And then do you want to go on to the next subject? How much time do you want to go with today? Because we were talking about
we can go
We
on
good.
to something else.
All right.
Well, let's let Mary talk some.
I know. Well, I thought this would be a good one for her because when we started talking about it, she lit up.
Yeah.
So that's what we were talking about is what do you do with your ex's pictures and gifts or letters or anything when you either move in with someone or you are you in another serious relationship?
Yeah.
You know, what do you do?
I am not in a serious relationship. I'm not in a relationship right now, but in the past, I've like always kept photo albums. And personally, if somebody's going through my things, if they're looking for aren't we all allowed a past?
Yeah.
Aren't we all allowed to have some sort of secrets?
So you keep them and
I keep them.
Yeah.
I keep the gifts.
Would you go through their stuff?
No.
Yeah.
Not unless I wanted to be hurt.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you want to go through my phone, go through it.
Yeah.
You're going to find stuff in there you're not going to like. I promise you that. But it's my phone.
Yeah.
Just like I'm not going to go through your phone.
But it's not stuff you're doing wrong. It's just stuff from the past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not current wrong. You're talking. You're not going to like if
You're
went,
just digging through
Yeah.
old
If you're
stuff.
digging to find something, I'm going to let you know. You're going to
Yeah.
find something.
Yeah.
There is stuff to be found if you're digging that far.
Yeah.
But why?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do it?
I mean, there are people though that do. There are people that are like, nope.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And what's your take on it?
Well-
You're such a minimalist. I know your answer, but go ahead.
I get rid of pretty much everything, and I don't have people buy me things. I'm not a gifter.
That's true.
I never have been. So a lot of times I don't have people that are
so not a
giving me
gifter.
stuff.
Like,
Usually they're just giving me food or money. It's not going to be anything that's going to be around very long. Okay, I'm going to eat it or I'm going to spend it. But I do have an interesting take on this because we're all women, I guess. I never really look for anything, but if something pops up or something's in my face, then I'm going to ask questions about it.
Right.
But I'm not, I'm usually, you have your stuff and I have my stuff and we.
now, if we're talking sexual toys,
No.
no.
Well, I
then-
would say there's a vast range of things
that should be fresh.
I do have a funny story about that does not involve me, and I won't name names. It's not you either.
I was about to say, what did I do?
It's not you, but it is one of the girls that goes on the trips with us. But she had toys, and it's not Shelby either, and she is a
Claudia.
no. It's she likes
We're
cheese.
just gonna name everybody.
She dates girls.
I gotcha.
And so she had these toys, and then when she got in a relationship with her last serious girlfriend, she had all these toys, and I don't know much about that world, so I don't really know how invasive things are, but I assume they are. And so she had them like in a box, and she got the new girlfriend. The new girlfriend's like, "You're not using those toys on me that we use with other people." And
100%.
100%.
I totally respect that, but that friend was like, these are really expensive. Like, I was like, you can't use.
Then let me use them on you.
Yeah. And
Yeah, there
so
you go.
Let me.
she goes, well, I
Those
would
are
just.
your toys then.
Those
She
are your
said, I
toys.
just put them in the attic in a box.
Oh my gosh.
In case we broke up later, I didn't like waste, there was a lot of money invested here, she said.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, you were so funny. She goes, every once in a while, if there was a really good one, I'd break it down and like act like I just bought it. I was like, you are so wrong.
That is pretty wrong.
This one's a good one. You'll like this
God.
one.
Trust me, I've tried it
I've
before you
read
got
the
here.
reviews.
They're great.
Wink,
5
wink.
stars, Amazon.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. I wasn't even talking like sex toys. I was talking like pictures or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I don't have anything purposely left. If
Yeah.
that makes sense. Now you might find something if you dug, like you said, but I don't know I have it if I have it. I didn't throw anything away on purpose either. It's just I've moved a lot. I moved on. Now I will say that I did have an ex-boyfriend that burned some pictures from my ex-husband and I. They burned wedding pictures. And they thought they weren't doing it because they were jealous. They were doing it because they thought I needed
To let go of them and
to
not
let
have 'em.
go of them. But our divorce, she was there.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, I was all for it. And I couldn't have run faster. And so I didn't
Here,
harbor.
let me come pick you up. You don't need to run.
Yeah. But I didn't harbor. I didn't look at pictures and go, oh, it's so sad. I was like, well, I'm so stupid.
Yeah, you just had them.
Yeah. And so I regret that I allowed them to do that. I was definitely not at the right spot mentally. I regret, but they didn't do it for vicious reasons, if that makes sense. It
Right.
wasn't like for bad reasons.
I can close my eyes and have more memories about my exes than any photo will ever show.
Right,
So
yeah.
what are you going to do? Raid, you're going to
Remove my memories?
Raid my head? You're going to remove my memories? I mean,
Right.
just be an adult.
Yeah.
Be
Well,
an adult. And
When I moved in with Dante, he had his ex-girlfriend. They had lived together, and she had stuff and her stuff in the house. Well, she had to go. Like she had to go to not therapy, but like where they keep
hospital.
No, yeah, like she was in like rehab, okay, and then they broke up while that was happening, and she wasn't coming back to his house, but she
Yeah.
had still her stuff. She had like a
Like she lived
dresser
there,
with
yeah.
clothes there, like whatever. So in that situation, like
picked
I
out what you
still
wanted?
gave him, ew, gross.
I'm kidding.
I still gave him his time and space to handle those things, but at the same time, coming into that situation, I don't want to come into a bedroom where they have a dresser and clothes
Right,
there. Like
yeah.
I want my dresser.
but then
and
you'll
clothes
sleep
there.
in the same bed that they slept in.
Yeah, but I'm going to say it's not my house. But if it was going to be, if I was going to be
But it was
moving,
still his bed
if
and
I
it
was
was
going
her
to be
dresser.
moving in with him, I brought my own bed. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm going to be moving in with you, I don't want another woman's dresser and clothes and that kind of stuff
I
in
think
your
that's
house.
fair.
Exactly.
So it wasn't like you
weren't jealous of
deal
pictures
breaker,
that are
but
hidden
it
in a
was.
drawer.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would be mad if, like, there was an ex-girlfriend's picture on the bedside, and
Oh, yeah, that's
and
not
I'm
gonna happen.
having a look at her.
Oh, yeah.
Get rid of that stuff.
Like
but I mean,
Rick's mom had a picture of Rick and his baby mama in her hallway.
Rick's
she
mom
might
is
still.
special. She's
she
special.
might still have
She's
it there.
special. I don't even need to meet her. I know how special she is.
She is a special lady. That's all we'll say. But she did have that picture, and I was like, "Why is that picture there?"
Spite.
She told me because she's always going to be a daughter to me. I was like, "Good,
Amen
yeah.
to you.
Yeah, good for you." But I just can't imagine keeping things like that hung up or whatever the case is. Now I do have my daughter has a picture of her dad and I together from when we went to prom together in her room, and I think that's great. That's her parents, and if that's how she wants to have, I have no problem with that. And I didn't throw pictures away on purpose of my ex-husband and I saved them, put them aside for my children.
Yeah.
They're going to want pictures of their parents, and I don't have a problem with Madison having pictures of her parents in her bedroom. Like, that's cool and understandable. And, but I don't want to, don't be leaving like a love note out, you know, and
That's
I don't
also
want
nice.
I don't want to open my junk drawer and there's a picture of you and some chick.
I
Like,
still have love letters from remember when I was dating Howard in 8th grade?
Yes.
I still have love letters from him. Am I reading
Yeah.
them out?
No,
It's
no,
just,
no.
he was like the first big love of mine.
Now I did find when I was doing this big clean out of my home the last few months, I did find a box of stuff from when I was dating Scott. and it was like love letters and stuff. And I did throw them out because I don't think that anybody's business,
Right.
and I don't care to keep them.
And
Like they bring no value to anybody. Now my kids might want to read them, but they're not their business.
Yeah,
you know what I
exactly.
mean. So I did chunk those, and I chunked a few other things because I didn't even know I still had it. First off, I was like, yeah, I've been carrying this shit everywhere, and I didn't even know it.
right, I could have been one box less.
Yes, I was. That whole time I thought there was something else in this box. I know what used to be in the box, and I guess at some point that changed, and I don't remember doing it. What a shock!
Yeah.
And so I thought in this box was one thing, and then I opened it, and I was like, oh my God, no! I've been carrying. I was mad at myself. You're gone.
I thought these were recipes.
Yeah, basically, I thought it was a Bible. Because I had a Bible in that box, and why am I going to pull a Bible? I mean,
Yeah, I can see why you didn't know what was in that
felt
box.
like the box was a good spot for it, you know? I just randomly thought about this because with Rick and I moving in together, and this has not come up. Like, there's nothing lying around my house, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Well, when you're in a relationship with somebody for so long, and you've moved a few times, you kind of shed yourself of
Yes.
any of that old weight or old stuff that's holding on.
Yeah.
Really, it's when it fresh in a relationship and there was a previous, long relationship before then, it takes time to clean up and weed out the things that you don't need anymore. And I think that you can take the amount of time that you need to take to get rid of things. And
Yeah.
it shouldn't be on somebody else's schedule.
No.
And I can see like a girlfriend or somebody coming in and I want to help you purge yourself and white sage and make it, I get that. But some things you have to either hold on for sentimental value because you want it, and then you're going to have a time that comes where you can
You wanna
let that
shed
go,
it. Yeah.
and that's healthy.
Yeah.
And
You go
can't
through
have-
stages.
You can't have somebody come in and tell you need to get rid of this. But when it's a merging of relationships, if you have something out or accessible or there that does hurt the other person for a reason that is, okay, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you don't need to have that out anymore. Maybe you don't need to have that picture out. Maybe you don't need to have
I would
your
tell
old
you
toys or whatever. Okay.
The one exception to having something that I know was we used to get Christmas ornaments made every year with everybody's name on it. And I had some from when I was married with my ex-husband's name on it with the kids. It had the kids. It was that year's ornament. So then I feel bad. I'm a mom and I'm like, that's their parent, like they might want this one day themselves, So every year it'd come time to decorate the tree. And I would always try to find it first and hide it. So they didn't remember it that year, and I'd just keep it in a box. But every once in a while, they'd find it, and we made an agreement that they had to hang it on the back of the tree. And that was our agreement. But Rick moved in this year, and the kids were like, we're not going to hang it this year. I was like, good
That was
move.
nice.
Good move. I was like, that's pretty funny. But that just popped in my head because of with us, living together and cohabitating and me cleaning out my closets per se, literally in my house.
I know. I was like, where are your clothes, Zada?
She did. She came in my bedroom. She goes, where are your clothes? I was like, oh, they're everywhere. Let me show. They're in that bin. They're in that bin. They're in that. They're hanging there. They're hanging there. Some are downstairs in Zoel's room, the summer ones. They're behind that sink. And the thing is that I actually know where everything is, and that's an accomplishment.
That
right
is an
there.
accomplishment because I'm such a visual person. My friend was like, are you a hoarder? And I'm like, yes.
But everything has its spot.
But everything is visually seen. Like,
Yeah, you're a clean hoarder.
Yeah.
Mary's apartment or townhouse, what would you call it? It's a townhouse.
Little townhouse, yeah.
It's really cute. But it is like if you went into a horror museum,
like a horror.
not horror, horror.
Horror.
Like a tattoo studio, horror tattoo
It
studio.
does,
with
yeah.
a bunch of artwork and just.
She's a maximalist in her artwork. And it's all really cool things she's never bought anything from Kirkland's, I assure you. Not for herself.
I don't even think I've walked in a curtain.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. You go in her stuff in her house and you just want to stare at everything, like a museum, really. Yeah. She even has a casket. That's a different story.
It's holding all my vinyls.
It really is. I know the other day I was like, oh, you have a new use for the casket. It's holding all her vinyls.
I think that's a good use.
Yeah, it looks great. Perfect. What are you going to do? Anything else we want to discuss today? Anything, Mary, you want to say? Anything you want to put out in the world?
Words of wisdom.
Mental health. Work on yourself before anything. I feel like COVID was a reset for a lot of people, and there's no reason that anyone should have to be underneath somebody else's thumb. anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a new world. Just respect yourself and respect others.
I would agree. Yeah.
Amen, girl.
Y'all have the same glasses on, kind of. I don't know if y'all have noticed. It's very similar.
I spend my life wanting to be more like her.
Are you blind
In
as
about
well?
15 years, you will be. Y'all, you're heading in the right direction.
Yeah,
You're
that's
going in the right way.
thank you, thank you,
welcome, you're
thank you.
Kelly, you got anything else?
No, if that's all. Y'all want to drop your tags. If you want to get a hold of the podcast, you can email us at twosidesinthetruthpodcast@outlook.com. You can also find me on Instagram. My Instagram is Kelly Lady Pearl.
And I am Z Mamacita on Instagram and Zada Owens on Facebook. And Mary, do you want to drop yours or not?
I'll give you my Instagram. It's marebear_328.
You will be entertained.
Mare Bear.
Mary,
Mare Bear.
Mary is very colorful, much like Kelly. You will enjoy it.
She's decorated. We're all
She's
decorated.
very decorated.
My body's the temple, so I'm putting up artwork.
There you
Love
go.
it.
And that's it. And we will have y'all join us again next week for
Another.
we're like, we don't know.
Another
We don't
thrilling
know
episode
how to do.
of-
We've gotten our intros down, but the exits are,
Well, if
spotty.
anyone's been listening from the beginning, they'll have seen this coming because we struggled for a long time with the intro. Thanks to me. Our Kelly will take us out.
All right. Remember, there are always three sides to every story. Two sides and the truth.